At least to start the season, I'm going to have Michigan number one in the preseason. My biggest reason is they have enough everywhere else and have a proven quarterback who I believe is going to be much better, take a giant step forward. Talking about Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. Now, if Georgia shows they're locked in at quarterback, I'm probably going to move them back to number one pretty quickly. That was Rece Davis on Paul Feinbaum's show sometime in late June, and I want to talk about this for a little bit because I don't think that's crazy thinking. I mean, you look at what Michigan's done over the last two seasons. I mean, you could make the argument they're the second best program in the country. The problem is they're just not one in the national semifinals, which is problematic. And but in terms of McCarthy making a jump, he's played pretty well to begin with. 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Two of those, though, were in the TCU game, which were pretty rough. I mean, he really had a rough day, generally speaking. When you account for 343 yards, but you get sacked 3 times, and someone of his athleticism getting sacked 3 times tells you something. And then 2 interceptions. He still threw for almost 350 yards, but some of that was because they were behind in that game. You look at the bulk of the rest of his games. The guy's trouble. He's really been a good player for Michigan over time. What he did at Ohio State, he was only 50%, but he threw 3 touchdowns. So, if Michigan can continue that, they had a lot of really good wins last season. Penn State, Ohio State, well, a lot of really good wins. They had 2 really good wins. And then they had some games where they, had to scrape by, if you want to call it that. A touchdown win over Maryland, which was not impressive. But having to come from behind against Illinois, I think that was the one that kind of caught my eye and showed that there could be some issues. And those popped up against TCU, a team that Georgia beat by 55 points. So I think the biggest reason I would not have Michigan number one coming into the season, and I don't think it's a crazy thing to have them number one. The number one reason why I'd say I'd go with the Dogs is they are going to have the quarterback locked in. Now, we're going to have to see it to believe it. But all indications are that Carson Beck is fully ready to go. But like McCarthy and Stetson and everybody else, we're only going to know when we know. I mean, so we can't know, quote, that McCarthy's going to make a leap forward any more than we know that Beck is going to, be ready to play. I think it's more likely, frankly, that Beck is ready to play than McCarthy is to make a jump because, having watched McCarthy against Georgia a year ago or whatever this is now, he really had a hard time against Georgia. He really had a hard time. It was 7-17. That's 41%. Through their only touchdowns. I mean, he carried the ball a little bit, but it was just rough. And he has gotten better from year to year. But Carson Beck, I think, is ready to ball out. And we're going to see. Hey, we're going to see. Hey, pick up Double Dogs today. This is going to run out soon where I offer this. Double Dogs is our look at the 2022 National Championship season for the Dogs. And then our preview edition is not out on newsstands. You can only get it in 2 places, down below and at Red Zone, which is right here. And then, if you like our shirt that has Talk Kirby to Me, that's also a Red Zone exclusive. I'll put a link to that at the bottom as well. But, I mean, listen, Rece Davis is no idiot. He's been around the block for a while. He's done a great job in his role in both college game days, as football as well as basketball. I wonder if Michigan is Georgia's straight-up biggest competitor coming into this thing. That's completely possible. I think if you're Georgia, you're okay with that. I mean, Michigan does not have the players Ohio State does, but they do have determination, physicality, and they seem to have will and toughness. Georgia has all those things too. That's why it's not a great matchup. Or wasn't a great matchup for Michigan a season ago. You know what I'm trying to say, in 2021. But they've really done a good job. I mean, I don't like the back and forth with is Jim Harbaugh going to be there or not. But I think he's done an excellent job, clearly. I mean, the last time they won the Big Ten in back-to-back seasons was like in the 90s sometime when most of y'all weren't born. So I don't I think in terms of what happens after a while, and this is why people really got excited about Clemson for a while, is once somebody's established dominance, folks really do want to go to the next thing, whatever that is. I'm here to tell you, having lived through Michigan being really good in my college days, it's been a long time since Michigan really mattered. It's been a long time since Michigan really mattered, and they matter now, and they didn't for 20 years basically. So they habitually are overranked. No, this is, by the way, this is not a I hate Michigan video. I don't care about Michigan. People get confused. I mean, a lot of people watch these videos who are not Georgia folks, and that's fine. We welcome y'all to be here, but I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I've been doing this I've been covering Georgia for 23 years, and my feelings don't get hurt because your feelings are hurt. So, but they've not yet taken the step that you need to take. Now, you can say that about Georgia until 21. But I do, people are excited for the next thing. And I'm sure some apprising, smart person covering Michigan could take a video like this and say, people are doubting Michigan. I mean, this is what we do. It's like a damn merry-go-round, But no one's doubting Michigan. The question is, should they be number one or not when they start the season? The answer is no. But it's not crazy to discuss. I mean, I think that, again, they've been the second best I mean, who's been better than them? Alabama? I mean, I will definitely listen to that. Are they, Alabama's been better than them? Okay, TCU? I mean, TCU didn't exist a year and a half ago. They may have thumped Michigan a little bit, but in terms of a 2-year stretch, I mean, Michigan's has lost, I think, 2 games, or is it 3? They've lost 3. I think they lost three games. They lost to Michigan State, Georgia, and TCU. I'm going on memory here, but there's nothing to be sad about there. I mean, they own Ohio State, period. Like, no question. And those Ohio State people, y'all, they were so jacked at the Dome. They just knew if they could get past the Dogs, they were going to win the national championship. They knew it. I mean, they were probably right. But if only Marvin Harrison hadn't gotten hurt or some other storyline. But at the end of the day, they didn't get past the Dogs. There were some strange play calls at the end of that game from Ryan Day, in my opinion. And it came down to a kick that that didn't happen, didn't work. And, I don't see how you can. We consistently do this with Michigan and Ohio State. We put Michigan in front of Ohio State. I mean, excuse me, we put Ohio State in front of Michigan. They do have better players, but they don't play better. I mean, they clearly had the better quarterback a season ago. You cannot compare C.J. Stroud with J.J. McCarthy. I mean, they're not the same, universe. But again, okay, hey, listen. If J.J. McCarthy, 6'3", 200, makes a jump from this production, 2017, 2,719 yards, easy enough for me to say, 22 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, along with, if my math is right, 124 yards of rushing, so about 10 a game, something like that. 4 a game, sorry. No, I'm looking at 21 for the rushing numbers, excuse me. But if he makes a jump, I was going to say 306 total yards rushing. If he makes a jump, I mean, the guy's going to be in the conversation for the Heisman. I don't know if he's going to make a jump. I mean, I think what we saw a season ago is about what he is. I mean, you had a lot of games where he was not their focal point. Against Nebraska, 8 for 17, 12 for 24 against Ohio State, 11 for 17 against Purdue. And they, to be frank, they won a lot of those games going away. I mean, the Ohio State game, they blew Ohio State out. The Nebraska game, 34-3. You don't have to throw the ball. But it's a lot of hovering around 50 at the later part of the season, 50%. So, I mean, but the guy, if he makes a jump, I mean, geez, they're definitely going to be really good. No question. Will they beat the Dogs? I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical of that but they are one of the few teams that can, and they're not talked enough about in that regard. I mean, this Michigan team, they are legit. This is not some fly-by-night program. Jim Harbaugh's done a very good job with them. Should they be number one coming into the season? My guess is probably no.